You've heard of the Department of Government Efficiency, but have you heard of the Department of Unwise Market Behavior? Hello, and welcome to the My Father Said podcast, where we discuss all things faith, finance, and family. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan. I'm both a father and a son.
Hey, and I am Robert. I am his father. I am my father's son, and I'm a three-time grandfather now.
Three-time grandfather. We just had little Ethan and his bride just had little Henry. And so he's what, a week old?
Yes.
Week old.
He's a week old. Looks just like his granddad.
That's good. That's good. That's good. We have got some exciting news before we get into the podcast. Robert and I have actually just written and published a book, Financial Harmony, Personal Fulfillment. We are excited to share that with everybody. You can get it on Amazon, paperback, hardback, Kindle. Right now we've got a deal running with Kindle where you can get it at a discounted rate. But yeah, this is a book that we've written over Dad's years of experience, my years in the industry, and then just growing up with you and, the things that we've learned and picked up and experienced along the way. And we're excited. If you guys want to learn more about our process or learn a little bit more about us, book's a good spot.
Yeah, that's right. It's a lifetime of learning condensed in 124 pages. And the most important thing I would say about this endeavor that we went into is we went way in the hole financially to do this. So we need you to buy this book so at the very least we can break even. All right, I've had to push retirement back 3 years now just to do this.
Yeah, and that's actually working against your plan because you just had your third grandbaby, so you're probably ready to hang it up, and now you got to just keep working because of this book.
That's right. That is right.
Well, good. But yeah, so we just wanted to plug that in there. Really, if you guys are curious at all, check it out. We'd love to hear about it. If you do read it, please leave a review. We'd appreciate that greatly. But with that, we will go ahead and get into.
Did you tell them where they can find it?
Did I say Amazon? If I didn't say Amazon, it's on Amazon and Kindle.
And right now, it is the best seller under the finance section of Amazon. It's number 1, number 4, and number 7 in paperback, hardback, and Kindle in that order right now.
Yep, right now. So by the end of this podcast, it might be different, but if you buy it, it won't be.
That's right. It'll stay number 1.
So, all right. So, we just had an election last year. We've got a new administration in the White House, and we're hearing everything about DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. We want to talk a little bit about that, and then we've made a parody of DUMB, Department of Unwise Market Behavior, and we're going to go through some of the things that we've seen people do that has not been the best decision when it comes to their finances.
Yeah, so DOGE, I was watching, the reaction by the media and politicians, especially politicians of one aisle and not the other aisle.
Sure.
And, the name Department of Government Efficiency, when it comes to you and I as a taxpayer, surely as an American taxpayer, we want to know that the tax dollars that we're being charged, that is being taken away from our hard-earned efforts every week, going to taxes, is being used efficiently, responsibly, and prudently. And it's not being wasted. And so then Trump comes in and he gets Elon, and Elon comes in and they create this Doge, which, by the way, I thought was a Bitcoin. I didn't realize it was a department. But so Doge is the Department of Government Efficiency, and they are uncovering millions and millions, and I think into the billions now, dollars of wasteful, suspect, fraudulent spending. And of course, you read things about certain politicians that had their pet projects receive untraceable amounts of money. I don't know if that's all factual or not, but what I do seem to recognize is that, there is a lot of wasteful spending that's taking place. And that's one thing. But then I watch the media and I watch people in general, politicians, I watch these boneheads out here. They are getting their arms up in an uproar because now I'm just going to cut to the quick. When you cut all the mustard off of it, when you get all the noise out to the side, it gets down to this. Irresponsible use of your and my taxpayer dollars has been done for generations, for decades. It doesn't matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat. It's been going on for quite some time. Pet projects, things going on overseas, some of the ridiculous titles that I've heard that money's been going to.
And Sesame Street in Iraq.
Yeah. So it's all kind of, it's not even questionable. It's downright irresponsible spending that's taking place. You would think that every American taxpayer, regardless of your political persuasion, would say, hey, enough's enough, cut out all of this ridiculous spending so that my tax rates can be decreased.
Yeah. Or at the bare minimum, let's say they don't decrease anything, at least use it here where we're going to have the benefit instead of sending it to, every other country but us.
Yeah, exactly right. You got homeless vets who are living in the street. You got the constant political reframe every year of they're robbing Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. All right, then take this wasteful spending and replenish Social Security. Yeah. Do something responsible with it. Instead, these nuts, if you just watch TV tonight. Just watch them. They're out there raising holy terror because somebody's calling out their spending practices.
Yeah, and I mean that goes to show how well the media does their job.
Yeah.
You're either on the left or you are on the right. You are not in the middle, and you hate the other team, and they are the devil incarnate.
That's right.
And so, Trump and Doge could literally cut, however many billions of wasted spending, regardless of what aisle you're on. Like, that's a good thing. But the media has trained us so much that it's like, nope, Trump did it. That's a bad thing.
You're exactly right.
That is evil.
And and the proof's in the pudding, because when you look back, there were some commercials I seen, some old tapes of Obama, Clinton, both of them, Hillary and Bill, both years ago when they first burst on the scene, were talking about the need for secure borders.
Oh, yeah.
They were talking about the need to rein in questionable spending. Everything that Elon is doing now in Doge, these people were endorsing years ago. Now we're further in the hole. They no longer endorse it.
Well, think about back just in 2016, the Democratic Party loved Elon. Because at one point, Elon, had voted for Obama, and he's like, man, he's making the world a better place. He's doing all this innovation. Be like Elon. We love Elon. And now all of a sudden, it's like he gets appointed by a Republican president. And it's like Elon is the devil.
Yeah. And if it was just the opposite, if Kamala had won the election and Kamala had appointed some person to head up Doge, if she had the intuition to have created this department, then the exact same thing you just said would be taking place. The Democrats would be all for it. The Republicans would be screaming holy hell and murder.
Yeah.
And it's, in other words, I guess what I'm trying to say to you is this, listening public. Any Republican if they were beside the road on fire, you have a choice. Stop by, TT on them to put it out, or keep driving. That's your choice. Because that's about what they're worth.
Tell us how you really feel about
That's how I really feel. That's how I really feel. I'm convinced at this day and time that none of them are for the average man.
No.
None of them.
That's the average salary or whatever of Congress is like $170,000 or something, and in a matter of years they'll amass
They're multi-millionaires.
Millions of dollars.
Multi-millionaires. And any sane person would say, what is their investment strategy?
Yeah. Yeah. If I did not care about my kids or the future of this country for my kids, I'd probably look at a career in politics, because, they've got the best, rate of return of anybody I've ever met.
Isn't it the truth? Isn't it the truth? So in line with that, in celebration of Doge and the great things that Doge is bringing to light, in our line of work, in our history of doing what we do with money and dealing with people, we have learned some things where we have discovered practices that are questionable. We have discovered inefficiencies that the average investor should not be participating in. And so a department was created for it. And we're proud to say here at the Templeton Group that we've got this department. We have an acronym for it. Ryan's going to introduce it to you for the very first time here today. And it's a department that's going to hopefully change people's lives if they consider the good that it's going to bring to the American investor. Ryan, won't you introduce it?
Yeah. So Doge is the, they're looking at the inefficiencies and the irresponsibility. What we're doing is we're looking at the inefficiencies in investing and the irresponsibilities in people's behavior with that. All right. So one of the things that we've seen is comparison. Comparison is the thief of joy. It's also the ruiner of your plan. We have seen a lot of people compare their investments to other people, and because of that, they start to derail their plan. One of the, I guess, most blatant things that I've ever seen with comparison is there was a guy that we knew, and his kids were also clients. This guy's retired. He's no longer working. His kids are working, and they're setting money aside, and they should have different, investment strategies based off of their phase of life. And he was like, hey, man, they're doing this. I want to do that. And we had to have a conversation of like, hey, no, don't compare it to your kids' plan. You are in a separate ball game. So that's one of the things we see.
Yeah, we, for the clients who we mentioned before, there's two types of people who invest money. There is the person who plans. They invest with a defined objective, a defined purpose that they're trying to achieve money for, and they measure their success as they get closer to their objective. Are they ahead of schedule, on schedule, or behind schedule? Those are the clients who usually do not allow market gyrations to cause them to lose their minds.
Right.
Then on the other side, you have the investor, and I say that with all respect. The investor is the person who just says, hey, I got money. I want to invest money. What is your objective, sir? I just want to make money. Okay. Well, those people, if you're an investor, you should compare your investments to another investor. But when a planner compares their performance to a investor, that is truly apples to grapes.
Right.
It's not even apples to oranges. It's apples to grapes.
Right.
And that's where people get off. I had a call yesterday from someone. I had to remind them. They said, hey, I want to know what my last 5-year return has been. Well, the last 5-year return on a portfolio that's 50-50 allocated isn't going to be anywhere near the S&P 500.
Right, for sure, yeah.
All right. But for the client who had that particular plan and their portfolio and their risk tolerance called for the 50-50 allocation, I had to remind them that, hey, you need to quit having these conversations. These, hey, my investments did this. What did your investments do? I had to remind him that that's no longer the game they're in.
Right.
They're planners, and they need to only measure their investments towards their plan.
Right.
And quit comparing everywhere else. So, yeah, one of the dumbest things you can do to go with that department is to lose sight of your plan and start looking outside of your plan. Because I promise you, the grass will be greener on the other side of a fence somewhere. More often than not, that grass is growing on top of a septic tank. But it will be greener outside of there. It's just true. So that's one of the dumb things that we see.
Yeah. Another one we see is chasing that hot tip. So, hindsight is 20/20. Right? If everybody could have gotten into Microsoft and Apple, they would have, right? But, that's not the case. But what we see is like sometimes a brother-in-law, a friend, someone that you go to church with will have this hot stock, and we'll have people approach us wanting to get into that stock. Tell us why. I just heard it's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Tell me anything about the fundamentals. I have no idea what you're asking me. So, we see some of that. And so pumping the brakes on some of these, just once in a lifetime stock opportunities. Like we had somebody reach out to us the other day, and he said, "Are we in AI?" Like, yeah, we got a little bit in AI. We're in different funds, and we've got exposure to AIs and stuff like that. And he was like, "Which AI companies? Can we get in this AI company? Why do you want to get in that one?" I don't know. Well, we've got you in the S&P 500, and this guy says, "What's the S&P 500?"
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah. My thing, whenever a hot tip comes through the door, and people, I don't know, everybody has somebody who knows somebody who's got some tip. The thing that I like to ask the person who is presenting the hot tip to me is, okay, the person who gave you the hot tip, you know them. How successful are they? I mean, are they living the life of the success,
Right.
the successful hot tips that they're giving you? And that should be an eye opener.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, the one hot tip that drives me crazy more than any in the world is the hot tips that come from people like Glenn Beck.
Gold, baby, gold.
Yeah. From Glenn Beck, from Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
From Sean Hannity, and the list goes on and on and on, these hot tips. And what our listeners, the majority of them, seem to not understand is that they're being paid by the hot tip to give you the hot tip.
Right.
And I don't know why people have a hard time embracing that thought. But that's another behavior of dumb that you should not follow.
Right.
That's just another behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. So some of the other ones, simple, not dollar cost averaging, trying to time the market, trying to get in on the best days, trying to get out during the worst days, not consistently putting money away. That's just a recipe to shoot yourself in the foot. Very, very inefficient to do it that way.
Yeah, money, one of the best tried and true, proven, and I'm going to use that word, proven methods of accumulating wealth over time is to set it and stick with it. Not set it and forget it,
Right.
but set it and stick with it. And what I mean by that is just take some portion of your money, whatever it might be. If all you can start with is $25 a month, then start. The important thing is to start. And then just as important as that is to consciously and self-awarely make sure that you are increasing that as you can, as your lifestyle improves. You're constantly putting money aside every month. You're catching the highs of the markets. You're catching the lows of the markets. You're catching everything in between. But what it's done, it has developed a system that every month, regardless, this money's coming out and it's going towards my objective. That's part one of that. Part two of that is, remember, it's going towards your objective.
Right.
And this isn't a popular statement that I'm getting ready to make. Nothing interferes with the objective. Nothing.
Right.
I don't care if it's a flat tire, hot water heater's gone out, somebody needs a new dress. Nothing interferes with the objective.
What if my grown kids need some money?
Oh, God, don't even get me going there. Cut the umbilical cord, all right? Cut the umbilical cord. Kick them out. You had so many years to raise your children. If your children are not self-sustaining, then you stunk as a parent trying to raise them to be responsible for themselves. And just because you stunk does not mean you're obligated to take care of them the rest of your days. Because when you're dead and gone, they're going to have to figure out how to do it. So go ahead and tell them today you're dead and gone.
I'm not sure that I'm your son, because the way you handle confrontation is just so different than the way I do it. I'm definitely my mom's son. I don't know about you.
What confrontation?
I mean, there was no confrontation there, but I mean, like, that was just a hard, harsh stance.
Well, it's the stance.
And yeah, and it's true, and it's good, and I agree with you. I probably wouldn't have said it that way.
Oh, you'd say, "Well, now, Luke Jr., you can't do this. You got to try. That's a good boy. Be a little better."
No, I'm talking about to the parents. I wouldn't tell them that they sucked at raising their kids. Oh, man.
Well,
I don't even know where we were.
That may have been strong. But here's the thing. You've got the best thing that we can do as parents is teach our children to live as if we weren't alive. That's the best thing we can do. And when a parent will not get out of their children's business and let their children go and live as adults and tell them, all right, you wanted to go out, you wanted to get married, you wanted to produce babies, you wanted to do whatever you wanted to do, you wanted to be an adult, be an adult.
Right. Yeah. That's like, and that's biblical. It tells you leave your parents and cling to one another, you know. So it's like, it's hard to do that if mom and dad are still taking care of everything or you're still living with your parents.
That's exactly right.
That's tough. Another thing that we have seen that is just dumb is panic selling. Like, let's think about 2020, right? COVID hits, the market's dropping, everybody's getting out left and right because we've never seen this before. We can't come back from it. And then by the end of the year, we're up 20%, something like that. So, getting out of the market when something scary happens is dumb. And there's going to be something scary every year that happens. There's always going to be a reason that you can rationalize to get out of the market, and it's always panic selling.
Yeah. When I wake up in the mornings and I read the morning financial news, my approach now, I have to be very careful with it because my approach is, what financial earthquake am I going to learn about today? Because there's always something.
Right.
And of course, media sensationalizes it, and media depends on panic to draw ratings. And people, unfortunately, left to their own whims, will do the wrong thing at the wrong time all the time.
Right, yeah.
It's just something that we just can't seem to help ourselves. We can't get out of our own ways. So if someone could master the solution for that particular behavior, I think they would be richer than Elon Musk. They could sell that and overnight be richer than Elon Musk.
Yeah.
But the problem is people wouldn't buy it because it wasn't scary.
Right, yeah. It's there's nothing, and it wasn't gold, so they wouldn't do that. Oh, man. All right, another one, simple, not living beneath your means. We're sitting here talking about dollar cost averaging and, just saving according to the plan and stuff. Well, if you're not living beneath your means, there's not a little bit of extra money each month, you're never going to get to that step. So that's one of the dumbest things that we see is people living on 100% of what they make or 110% of what they make, right? So
yeah, never. It's and I understand, whenever we come out, we are geared, you go to college, you borrow money, college has gotten outrageous. You come out of college with so much debt that you have no idea how you're going to see next week, much less 10 years from now. And then, you got to get a car, you got to get a house, you got to get this, you got to get that. And then you end up marrying someone who is in just as bad a financial position as you might be. And then you got everything doubled up. Then kids start to come. And the next thing you know, the outflow exceeds the inflow. And it just creates all kind of things. So we truly do understand that it's difficult at first to live as we are preaching here. But what we also know that is if you're not intentional about pursuing it, you will not reach it.
Yeah, and it might be difficult, but it's never impossible, right? Like you think about those super wealthy people, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, all these other people. That's few and far between. The vast majority of people that are making money, like they've made it themselves, working regular jobs and stuff like that, and it all starts with just those habits and those behaviors. Like I remember when I was playing baseball, it was always you could not predict the outcome but you could predict your effort. You couldn't measure the outcome ahead of time, but what you could do is you can measure your behavior. You could measure your attitude, your input, whatever. And so, if you can just develop the behavior or the habit of living below your means, dollar cost averaging, not panic selling, that's 70% of the way right there.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you can get good at that, then you will not be on the Hall of Fame in the Department of Dumb.
We need to get like the portraits of the presidents, like they do at the White House.
Yes.
We just this is dumb founding father one.
Yeah.
Oh man. Another one. This is kind of redundant. Time in the market. You can see a number of websites out there of like, hey, January is always a good month. December is always a good month. September's always a bad month, whatever it is. And so, you can get into the rut of just believing all of that and saying, all right, look, I'm not going to invest this month, or I'm going to invest this month. And then you play this game of time in the market. And we've done this in another podcast. You miss a couple of the best days of the market, and that's, half of the growth right there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. I'm gonna say it to this. I don't care who you are. You're not that smart. All right. You cannot time the market. If the ability to time the market was something that we could do, then you would have never ever heard of or met Ryan and I, because we would be on our own island somewhere, enjoying life and just living it up. We wouldn't have to do what we're doing, to make a living and to get by. No one is that good. That is, unless your last name is Pelosi and you have her portfolio. But that's another topic for another day.
Sure. Yeah. Another one, not seeking wise counsel. They're called blind spots for a reason. You can't see them. Mm-hmm. And so if you're surrounding yourself with wise counsel, and there's a ton of scripture to back that up in the Bible, surrounding yourself with wise counsel. If you've got an advisor that's helping you formulate a plan, awesome. If you've got a CPA that's helping you, awesome. There are DIYers, mm-hmm. and there are some that can do a good job with that. Mm-hmm. The vast majority of people we've met are not that person, or they are a DIYer, but they've got a vast number of responsibilities that are taking their attention, a job, a spouse, kids. Mm-hmm. And so you might be able to do it, but, you don't have the time for it. And so, not getting that CPA that's seeing your blind spots, not getting an advisor that's seeing your blind spots, not getting a state attorney to look at those blind spots. Those are dumb mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my favorite out of everybody you mentioned is the certified public accountant. If you have wealth and you aspire to obtain wealth, you've got to recognize that, one, you're never going to know everything that you need to know.
Right.
Two, you just don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to find somebody who that is their specialty. And that's why I use a CPA.
Right.
Do I have tax knowledge? Yeah, I've got tax knowledge. Can I read the tax code? Yeah, I can read the tax code.
I can read it.
Do I want to read it? No.
Yeah.
Do I want to live in that tax code?
Mm-hmm.
No. I think that takes a unique mindset to do that. And not everybody was gifted with that. And that's a gift. Mm-hmm. Not everybody was gifted. So you need to recognize, as Clint Eastwood used to say in his older movies, a man needs to know his limitations. Mm. And the same thing goes with investing. You need to determine, as an investor or a financial or as a planner, you need to determine just what it is.
Can hear the airplane.
I hear that
That's
airplane
cool.
going through here.
That's cool. If you guys are wondering, Scott Fowler has the best equipment, because we just picked up an airplane flying above this building. So that's cool.
Yeah, you notice our eyes started rolling in our head, looking around like, what is that? But no, I don't even know what I was saying just now. But anyway, the best thing you can do is get a CPA that is good at what they do. They're competent. Mm-hmm. I've said it before, and I tell it to everybody. That'd be your best friend in the world of wealth accumulation and maintaining wealth.
And here's another thing. If you've got wealth, it's a great relationship to have as a CPA. If you want to have wealth, it's a great relationship to have. Let's say you're a business owner and you're just starting out and you don't know what you want. You're just trying to make this business. CPA is still going to be your best friend. And you might find out working with a CPA, oh, hey, I actually do have a little bit to start, amassing some wealth. So,
Yeah, yes, that's right. What else we discover?
So not addressing debt, student loan debt, car loans, credit cards, your mortgage, not paying those debts. It's going back to some of the basic steps. If you cannot pay your debt, you certainly cannot pay yourself. And so you never get to step 1 and 2 and 3 because you got all this debt that you got to knock out.
Yep, that is true. Debt is the destroyer of futures. There comes a point in your life, we all have had debt, not unless you're born with a silver spoon, and I guarantee you probably by the third generation of that silver spoon, whoever that third generation is going to be covered in debt.
Right, yeah.
But debt destroys futures. It destroys financial futures. It is a preventative of success. Somewhere in your life, you've got to make the conscious decision that, okay, if I'm going to enhance my future life, I've got to slow down on what I'm doing right now. I've got to quit worrying about keeping up with the Joneses, and I need to focus on getting my financial house in order so that I can start working with some of this margin that living beneath my means will afford for me to do in the future. Dave Ramsey says it best. Dave Ramsey says, live today like no one else, so in the future you can live like no one else.
Right.
And that's a great saying that he's got. I prescribe to that same idea.
Right.
My personal financial life did not turn for me until I embraced that ideology and put it into work.
Yeah.
Now, did it happen overnight? No, but it happened.
Right. Right. And again, it goes back to that behavior, right? I can't control the outcome, but I can control my behavior, my habits, my attitude. So, The Richest Man in Babylon, and we've referenced that book quite a few times on this podcast. They go in there and they talk about a budget. And they're talking about a budget, and they say a budget helps you protect your long-time goals, your lifelong plans from your casual daily desires. A budget is not living below your means, knocking out this debt. That's not a I just got to do it. They say I got to do a budget. I got to have a budget. I got to pay off this debt because it's just what you do. No, it is helping you set yourself up for those dreams, those aspirations that you have later down the road. So,
Yeah.
it's good. Let's see, what else do we find? Lack of diversification. If you're trying to invest and you're a DIYer and you're not getting enough exposure to different aspects of the market, that's dumb, right? So you need to have, unless you're Warren Buffett, right? You need to have some diversification in your portfolio. So
Yeah, but even he has diversification.
he does. Yeah. He does. He's just a lot better at picking stuff than
Yeah,
the
most
majority of people.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I got his fund, by the way. I got the
Some Berkshire?
Yeah, I got Berkshire. I got it in my portfolio, and this past week it's been the best performing position I had. Now that's not advice. That's not a recommendation. We're just bloviating here. That this week that has been the best performing position in my portfolio. Generally, it never is.
Generally, it never is.
Yeah. So that kind of tells you what's going on out in the market right now.
Yeah. Those have been the gists of what we've seen. Basically everything that we see in the Department of Unwise Market Behavior really and truthfully boils down to behavior. Either you don't have good behavior when it comes to riding the highs and lows, you don't have good behavior when it comes to dollar cost averaging, you don't have good behavior with surrounding yourself by competent advisors. Everything we see starts and ends with the behavior.
Yeah. There's one more that I would like to add to the, I'd like to give a nomination for it to enter into the Department of Unwise Investor Behavior. I'm not sure that was dumb. That was something else. But anyway, it's not being a student of money is what I would put in there. And the reason I say this is because we want you to come in and we want you to use people like Ryan and ourselves or whoever your financial planner might be. But also at the same time, we want you to learn. That's why we and others like us, that's why we produce stuff like this.
Right. Yeah.
Because we want you to learn. We want you to get the behaviors. We want you to understand the behaviors. We want you to ingrain the behaviors in your mind so that whenever you do go to make financial decisions, you've got these things in your library of knowledge that you're able to bounce your self ideas off of and make good and wise, informed decisions. This book and books like this is another form of wise counsel.
Right.
And we would tell you to take advantage of that. Not being a student of good money is going to significantly hamper you from accumulating and accomplishing what you want to do, because if you're not a good student, when the market, not if, when the market falters, you're going to react emotionally and irrationally.
Right.
And the reason you're going to do that is because you just don't know what you just don't know.
Right.
I was talking to someone yesterday. We were discussing the release of this book, and I had made mention to him. I said, there's a reason why lottery winners, after a couple years of winning millions and millions, if they aren't broke, they're close to being broke.
Yeah.
And it's because it was the old saying, easy come, they bought a ticket. They have no idea from a foundational standpoint of how money works and what you should and should not do with it. And within a handful of years, those lottery winners are right back where they were at before the lottery.
Yeah.
They're busted, they're broke, they're back at a job doing whatever they're doing. And so you've got to be a good student of money. You've got to put in the time and the effort to learn how money works.
This is a side note, has nothing to do with our podcast. If someone client, not a client, just someone won the lottery, better yet, let's say you won the lottery. What would you do with it right now, and why would that be wise?
If I won the lottery, well, I would pay off the condo in St. Martin that
you would buy immediately.
That we would buy immediately. I would, I've often thought about things like that. What if I came into a whirlpool of money? I think the best way to answer that, Ryan, is where you're at in life at the time you win.
Sure. Yeah.
Like today, I'm in my early 60s now, and from a financial standpoint, God's been very good to your mom and I, and we're blessed. We don't need anything. We really don't. So if I were to win the money today, I'd probably do something, philanthropy-wise. Yeah. I'd probably do something to, build our business larger and greater. It was fun writing this book, but writing this book cost money, and it wasn't cheap. I would want to do things. I would want to get into educating, the public, the investing public or something like that. I would want to do something of the sort. You notice I didn't say anything about leaving you and Ethan any money.
Yeah, you've made that abundantly.
Yeah.
Scott could have told you that you weren't leaving anything.
Now, had I won this imaginary lottery back when I was age 30, my answers would be nowhere near related to what I just said, because I was a different person back then. The neat thing about growing intellectually on the subject that you're trying to grow on is that with growth comes a change of vision. And you see things differently as you get older and more mature in it. So that was a great question.
Good.
I guess it's a nice spot to be able to say, we're fine. Yeah. Now, mind you, if I had a $14 million house on the lake and I had a mortgage of $6 million on it,
Probably pay that off.
I'd pay it off.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to live that way. That's not important to us. Might buy a helicopter and learn how to fly it. But I've always had dreams of flying a helicopter, so I would do that. But I doubt your mama would get in it with me, and that would be smart on her part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Well, cool. Well, thank you guys for joining us. This has been another episode of the My Father Said podcast. Again, if you have any questions on, how to implement a plan, how to avoid getting into the Department of Unwise Market Behavior, reach out to Robert and I. We'd love to sit down, look at what your goals are, help you build out a plan. Also, if you're not ready to pull the trigger and you just want to learn some of our thoughts on the behaviors that we recommend and our principles, check out the book. Again, Financial Harmony, Personal Fulfillment. It is available on Amazon. Check it out. We'd love to hear what you think about it. And with that, I am Ryan.
Hey, and I'm Robert.
We'll see you next time.
The opinions voiced in this video are for general information only and are not specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance reference is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful.